Benin became an empire was not to conquer, was not to conquest. It was to expansion. It was to resettlement. It was to migration. The Zobo people are from Igodo. They were part and parcel of the Benin Empire. Did we conquer the Urobo people? No. The Esa people were part and parcel of the Benin Empire. Did we conquer the Esebe people? No. It was through expansion. The Jos and what have you, the Eseko people, did we also conquer the Eseko people? Where the Benis were borrowing words from the Portuguese, where were Urobo people? Where were your ancestors? They were living in the Riverine area. They were primitive people. They were living in the Riverine area. They were primitive people. Have you ever seen any book written that talks about the Uzobo people traded with the Portuguese? Have you ever seen a book written that talks about the Uzobo people trading with the British? Have you ever seen a book written that talks about bilateral trade between the British or the Portuguese with the SMB? Why was it that the Portuguese came, the Dutch came, the German came, the last set of British, the last set of Europeans were the British, they came, and everything they did was about Benin. When any European is coming, they will look for Benin, they will trade with Benin. Why was this so? Because Benin was already civilized. The Zobo people were primitive. Your ancestors were primitive. The Zobo people were primitive. They were used to appease the gods. Now that when I make una they cry, the Urobos, the SMB people, the Portuguese also borrowed words from us. Are you aware of that? That the Portuguese also borrowed words from Benin? Are you aware of that? That the Portuguese also borrowed words, Benin words, that are also in existence in Portuguese today. They are originally Benin words. Are you aware of that? Show me a book that was written that talks about the Urobo people, your ancestors traded with the Portuguese. When you say you borrow, when you say Benin borrowed words from the Portuguese, that will tell you that the civilization of the Benin was great. If the Benis were not civilized, how come the Portuguese came and they were trading with the Benis, not with the Urobo people? The Benis were already producing weapons. The Benis was already producing weapons, and we got the iron ore from the donut. It was when the Portuguese came that we started collecting the raw materials from the Portuguese. Have you ever seen Urobo people? Show me a book, and the SMB people show me a book that was written. Go and look at it now. Benin and the Europeans. Type it. Let somebody tell me the year that the Benin started trading with the Europeans. Benin was already an empire before they got in contact with the Portuguese, and a few years later, before they started having bilateral trade. Why did the Portuguese, the Dutch, the German, and the British traded with the Benis? According to history, when they started coming, when the different set of Europeans came, they saw the people. They did what they call ethnography, and they discovered that the Benis was the head. Can you trade with the bottom? The Urobo people were primitive people. They were living in the Benin area. Your ancestors were catching fish. Now fish, now Urobo people, they eat fish, periwinkle. That was what your ancestors were looking for. Why did the Benis borrow word from the Portuguese? It was because of contact talk. It was because of the civilization. Even we did not only borrow words from Portuguese, we also borrow from the British who colonized us. And you also said that it was because of the atrocity that we were committed. That was why they invaded Benin. No, that's not true. The reason why the British invaded the Benin Empire was because of economic power, economic control, resources control. It was not because we were wicked. It was not because we were doing slavery. The Esa people did slavery. The Urobos, they did slave trade. The people who were saved, who saved them? The people that were captured for slaves, who saved them? Were they not the Urobo people? The Urobo people also did slave trade. The Jaws, all of them, they did slave trade. If you think I'm lying, go and read a book written by Dr. A.I. Okotuwa. It's an Esa man. It was what was obtainable as at that time. The Portuguese also borrowed words, Benin words. There are some Benin words in Portuguese today. Some Benin words in Portuguese today. If you look at all the different set of Europeans who came, there's also Benin that they find. They don't define Zopo. They don't define Sempe. Because those people were primitive. I talked about the ancestors of the Esa people. I said they are primitive people. They were criminals. The Zopo people, they were also primitive. They were also fugitives. Have you ever asked yourself why the Urobo people are living in the Riverine area? Let Urobo people come and tell you why his ancestors, right from time immemorial, they live in the Riverine area. It was not the Portuguese that made Benin great. Benin was already civilized. When they came, go and read the books. When they came, they saw a civilization, and they asked, this civilization that is comparable, the civilization of the Benin Empire was the same with the civilization of the Portuguese. And they asked, who did this civilization? They told them it was the Oba of Benin. And that was the reason why you see everything, all the different set of Europeans who came, they were all looking for the Oba of Benin. When the Portuguese came, they saw Benis, they saw Esa, they saw Ijo, they saw Urobo, they saw Esako. You are even saying that Esako is part of the Urobo and the Benin is not part of it. Where the Esako people, most of all the people you see in Esako people, in Esako land, they are priests and priestesses. They are from the palace of the Oba of Benin. Have you seen any Portuguese words in Izobo people? No. When the Portuguese came, the Urobo people, they were irrelevant, they were primitive, they were fugitive as well. When the Portuguese came, the SMB people, they were hiding, they were in hideout. The Esa people were also primitive like the Urobo people. When the people are talking, I just laugh because you people don't know that you are making fool of yourself. Can you show me any one word that the Urobo people borrowed from the Portuguese? No, because they didn't trade with them. Can you show me a word that was borrowed in Urobo land from the Portuguese? No, you know they. The other time you people say I was talking about Urobo, there is Zobo. I will speak out. I will talk about the history of the Izobo people. Because the other time people say I should forget, I should calm down. I will speak. The Urobo people, they were used for human sacrifice. They were also runaway people. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that the Urobo people are found in the Riverina area? Riverina area, why don't they live for town? Why be say Urobo people? That's also water that they see them. Have you ever asked yourself that question? Man una history. No one man una history, eh? Go and look at the history. Anything about history is Benin. Go and tap it. Benin and the Europeans. Benin was already civilized. Benin was already a country. Benin was already exposed before they got in contact with the first set of Europeans. It's not the Portuguese that made Benin great. I've said it before. Go and look at when we have the Benin Empire and when the Portuguese came. Go and check the time. Before the Benin got in contact with the Portuguese, how was Benin people living? What attracted the Portuguese to the Benin people? What did the Portuguese see in Benin that made them to choose Benin over Izobo people, over Esapo people? It was because of the exposure. You are saying we borrowed word, we borrowed word. You don't know that when you borrowed word from another country, it's a sign of civilization. Urobo people, you don't know that there is no single word of the Portuguese in Urobo language shows that as at that time when the Portuguese came, your ancestors, Urobo ancestors, were primitive. You don't know that's what it means. Language contact is a sign that Benin was already exposed. It's a sign that shows that Benin was already civilized before they got in contact. Why did the Portuguese, the Dutch, the German, and the British traded only with the Benin? Why not the SMB people? Asian claim to be the oldest tribe. Why is it that you were the oldest? You were alive. The Portuguese came, the Dutch came, the German came, the British came. They left SMB, the fake oldest tribe in Nigeria, and were trading with the Benin. Where your ancestors were they sleeping when the Benin was trading with the Portuguese? That even made them to give them guns to empower their military minds. Before the coming of the Portuguese, the Benin military mind, we were already producing weapons. Go and look at the blacksmith. We were already producing weapons, bow, arrow, shed. We were already producing them. The Urobo people were living in the Riverina area. They were primitive, they were fugitive too. It's not only the Eastern people that are fugitive. The Urobo people were also criminals and fugitive like the SMB people. If you think I'm lying, go and find out how come they were living in the Riverina area. They live for tree, they live for water. Urobo people, they were criminals, they were fugitives, they were runaway, they were banished people that were living in the Riverina area. While the SMB people were living in the forest and in the jungle, the Urobo people were living in the Riverina area. I don't want to talk. I go talk. Urobo people, I go tell on our history. The Urobo people were also criminals. They were also fugitives. They were also banished from the Benin Empire. That was the reason why they were living in the back of the river. Why the SMB people were living, they were living in the jungle. They were living in the hideout. Because when the Portuguese came, the Urobo people were primitive. When the Portuguese came, the SMB people were primitive. If they were not primitive, Have you ever seen any book written? Any book written that talks about Esa or Urobo trading with the Portuguese? Have you ever seen any book that tells you that Urobo traded with the Portuguese? Because they were fugitives. They were nobody. Every often when the British came, the Urobo people were always fugitives. They were uncivilized people. Esembe and Urobo people. Answer this question. When the Portuguese came, the Dutch, the German, and the British came, why is it that everything is all about Benin? Why was it so? Answer my question. Go and read the book, The Benin and the Europeans. The Benins and the Europeans. Show me a book that talks about Urobo and the Europeans. Where were your ancestors? They were in the Riverina area. They were looking for periwinkle to catch. They were looking for small fish to eat. The Esebe people, they were living in the jungle. They were eating leaves. While the Urobo people were living, the ancestors were living in the Riverina area, looking for periwinkle to catch and eat. They were defecating in the Riverina area. They will take water from the river. They will drink from that same river. They will also defecate on it.